Hey guys, in today's video I'll be talking about Isaias once again, and this storm is honestly crazy because this system is now forecast to potentially become a hurricane once again. Now, as of right now, it's at 70 miles per hour, and its pressure is quite high. It's at 998 millibars, and it's moving directly north at 13 miles per hour. The NHC is expecting it to really get its act together, I guess, pretty soon over the next 12 to 24 hours. And I guess it's expecting the system to really drop in pressure and increase in wind speed for a good bit. Before I get into everything and talk about Isaias, I just want to quickly mention this disturbance here. I do not expect it to form at all. If I just show you real quick the satellite imagery for Invest 94L, it has decent convection with it, but there's not too much spin really with it, and I don't really see this being named, honestly, in general. So I think we're gonna have to wait a little longer for our next name system after Isaias. Now, I'll show you now what the NHC is forecasting in terms of its cone forecast, total rainfall, flash flooding potential. It's their forecast peak surge, their wind speed probabilities, all of that is coming up very soon. Now, the cone forecast, we'll start out with the cone forecast, and you can see that let me zoom this in for you guys. The NHC is forecasting the system to become a hurricane right before it makes landfall, either in South Carolina or North Carolina. That's why they issued a hurricane warning for that coastline between Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. But there's tropical storm warning extending from there, from the Cape up through Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey, the Long Island coast of Connecticut, coast of Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, and then tropical storm watch for the coast of New Hampshire and Maine. So again, tropical storm warning means that it is likely that you will be experiencing tropical storm conditions within the next 24 to 36 hours, and then tropical storm watches, you'll experience tropical storm conditions for around 48 hours or so from now. Hurricane warning means you'll experience hurricane conditions within the next 12 to 36 hours or so. That's what their cone forecast shows. You can see it will weaken back down to a tropical storm as it is more inland over the North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey, and into New England. So the system will maybe strengthen a bit as we head forward in the very short term, but then it will really weaken after that point. Now I'll show you the rainfall potential with this system. You can see widespread of 2 to 4 inches in the dark green. Yellows is 4 to 6 inches, and even the oranges around DC and Baltimore is 6 to 10 inches. So there is potential to get up to double-digit rainfall totals. I think the max rainfall will be between 10 to 12 inches of rainfall. So we'll see. We'll see how much the system is able to excrete precipitation out of itself. Even the Charleston area as well is getting around 6 to 10 inches of rainfall in the oranges. But if you live in the tri-state area of New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, and generally most of New England, expect 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, which is still significant rainfall, especially with the fact that in these areas of the New York City area, you'll also be expecting some 1 to 3 feet of storm surge and strong winds as well. And then also actually even the potential chance of numerous tornadoes. On Isaias's east side, it will have the highest chance for tornadoes and the storm surge and wind potential. On its west side, you'll see the highest amount of rainfall and flooding, most likely. Now let me show you the flash flooding potential. Just going off of that, you can see the yellows is a slight risk, 10% chance of flash flooding. The red is a moderate chance, 20% of flash flooding. That extends from Charleston through Wilmington up through Raleigh, Richmond, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia. So still a very decent chance of flash flooding if you're in the slight and moderate risks, especially if you're in the moderate risk, of course. Now, let me show you the peak surge totals, and you can see from about the Delmarva up through coastal Rhode Island, coastal Massachusetts, expect 1 to 3 feet of storm surge, 2 to 4 feet of storm surge from the Cape down to Cape Fear, the Outer Banks of North Carolina down to Cape Fear, and then 3 to 5 feet in between Cape Fear and south. What does that say? South something river. I can't tell what it says. I'm just gonna say from Myrtle Beach through Cape Fear, expect 3 to 5 feet of storm surge, and then again 1 to 3 feet of storm surge, 2 to 4 feet of storm surge for Georgia and the rest of the South Carolina coastline. So again, still decent surge potential from the Georgia coastline up through southern New England. Now, let me show you the arrival time of tropical storm force winds. And you can see that Monday 2 p.m., so really very shortly, you'll be experiencing the beginning of tropical storm force winds for coastal Georgia, southern coastal South Carolina. And then Monday 8 p.m., tropical storm force winds will arrive for South Carolina, North Carolina. And then getting up through Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey, Connecticut, and southern New England, expect tropical storm force conditions to arrive 2 a.m. Very early morning of tomorrow into the early to mid morning of Tuesday in the New York City tri-state area and southern New England as well. Now, the wind speed probabilities, potential of tropical storm force winds. You'll most likely be expecting pretty much 100% chance of tropical storm force winds for coastal South Carolina and North Carolina, and then getting up through Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. Expect between 50 to 60% chance of tropical storm force winds in the gold to orange, 67% chance in the orange, 70-80% chance in the red, and in the dark red, 80 to 90% chance of tropical storm force winds. So we're really expecting very decent potential for sustained tropical storm force winds, and of course gusts as well for tropical storm force. Really from where it is right now up through where it will be going through the New York City tri-state area into New England. So please be mindful of very strong winds, flash flooding. Really be the impacts that you really should be mindful of is the strong winds, the flash flooding, and the storm surge. The storm surge actually is the most deadliest part of any tropical system, no matter if it's a hurricane or tropical storm or major hurricane. Let's look at the satellite imagery for Isaias right now. This is on Tropical Tidbits, and you can see that it doesn't look as good, does not look as good as it did yesterday, but you can see it does have very good spin to it, some decent cloud tops, convection around the center. So it does seem to be trying to strengthen as of right now, and seems to continue to be strengthening from now through most likely Monday this evening, early to late evening, middle to late evening today. So that's what Isaias looks like right now. The aircraft recon, the Air Force plane that's in there right now, is finding wind speeds of up to, here, let me zoom this in for you guys so you can see this a little better. They're finding wind speeds generally between 50 to 64 knots. So that's a bit weaker than it is sustained at right now. Though the thing is, as I scroll down, the NOAA plane is also in there right now. It's in progress in the storm right now, and it is finding winds of between 64 to 83 knots. So much stronger winds, much closer to what it's sustained at right now, or even a little stronger. So we'll see. We'll see what the next few advisories show for the system, especially the next 2 at the 2 p.m. advisory and 5 p.m. advisory. Those two advisories, I think, will really be telling of what how the system is doing and how strong it is. So now I'll show you what the forecast models are showing for the system. Here's the GFS model, and let me zoom this in once again so you guys can see this better. You can see it'll make landfall as maybe a 988, 987 millibar low pressure system. So could strengthen down to, I think max it could strengthen to a 75 to 80 mile per hour category 1 again before it starts really weakening and becoming a much weaker tropical storm. But as it makes its way, though, through Virginia, the Delmarva, into New England, its pressure does drop to around 996 millibars, 999 millibars. So that is much weaker, though it seems like it will be sustained, though, especially as you get towards New Jersey, the tri-state area, and southern New England, could be sustained between 60 to 65 miles per hour. So still a very strong tropical storm potentially, bringing decently heavy rain, very heavy rain, strong winds, potential for tornadoes, and storm surge. So this could be still pretty major as it's heading up the coast. Let me show you the forecast total rainfall according to the GFS model, and let's bring this out in time. And you can see if you're in the greens, that's anywhere up to half an inch of rainfall. If you're in the blues, that's a half inch to 2 inches of rainfall. If you're in the purples, that's 2 inches to 6 inches of rainfall, and then really we don't really see much 6 inches plus according to this model. But you can see in the darker purples, especially if you where it makes landfall potentially around South Carolina, North Carolina, and then even up near Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, you could be expecting up towards 4 or 5 inches of rainfall. So that's very significant rainfall on top of any potential flash flooding you could see from storm surge as well. If you live in the New York City area, expect maybe 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. But still, that'll be very decent amount of rainfall on top of course, that potential 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. And, of course, then there's also the strong winds. So that's what the GFS is showing for the rainfall. I'll show you what the CMC is showing for the where it'll track. And the new model is just coming in, so I'm going to have to switch it to the 00Z model, the earlier model. So the CMC is generally thinking it will make landfall as a 995 millibar low pressure system, so a bit weaker than what the GFS is showing, but still bring very heavy rain up through the Carolinas, Virginia, Delaware, the Delmarva, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York City, and New England. And it does show that it could come through the New York City area, southern New England, as a 9... Let me zoom this in, actually, a bit more. No, I can't. I believe that says 996 millibars. So still, again, a pretty decently compact, strong tropical storm coming through the tri-state area. So that's what the precipitation and potential track the CMC is showing for the system. The total rainfall for this system, CMC is showing, oh wow, CMC is showing a good bit, maybe a bit more rainfall potential for, especially for the New York City tri-state area and southwestern Connecticut and western Connecticut. But you can see, so again, if you're in the blues, that's a half inch to 2 inches. Purples 2 to 6 inches, and you can see a lot of dark purples are in there, especially South Carolina, North Carolina, expecting up towards 6 inches of rainfall maybe. And then from Virginia through D.C., Baltimore, very eastern Pennsylvania around Philly, up through the western portions of New Jersey, including Trenton, up into northern New England, could see anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rainfall, and then the New York City area potentially even 2 to 3 inches of rainfall according to the CMC. So I think for the New York City tri-state area, for those people who live there, expect between 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. That should be the best bet for you guys there. Yeah. Now I'll show you the European model. Show you what the European model is showing. I'll zoom this out so you guys can see this better. There's the European model, and as we bring this forward in time, the European model shows it making landfall as a 990 millibar low pressure system, so a strong tropical storm, maybe weak Category 1 hurricane. Bring this farther out in time, and it heads up into North Carolina and Virginia, 987 millibars in the Delmarva Chesapeake Bay area, so maybe even a little stronger there. That's very interesting. And then the European model shows it going through the New York City tri-state area as a 990 millibar low pressure system. So it does look much more likely now that we could see a much stronger system coming through the tri-state area. So if you live in the New York City tri-state area, please make sure you are prepared. Really make sure you are prepared now, or if not, just make sure you are prepared by tonight. Tonight is really the deadline for people living in the New York City tri-state area, the New Jersey, Connecticut, Southern New England areas, because by tomorrow the system will already be feeling, we will all be feeling the system's effects by tomorrow. So this is really the last few hours, the remaining time left is really just the rest of today into tonight for everyone in those areas to make sure they're prepared. So please make sure you are prepared by tonight. This is what the European rainfall totals, the Europeans predicting for rainfall totals, and you can see that. If you're in the purples, expect anywhere between 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. If you're in the reds, expect 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. If you're in the yellows or golds, expect really 4 inches plus. We can see a bunch of 4 inches plus areas for South Carolina, North Carolina, into some of Virginia, even eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York. So those areas expect, again, 3 to 5 inches of rainfall, maybe isolated spots could get to 6 to 8 inches even, potentially. And then for the New York City tri-state area, expect anywhere between really an inch to 2 inches, I gotta say. An inch to 2 inches most likely is the most likely bet. So still a very rainy setup according to the European model as well, just like all the other models I have shown you are predicting. So again, this will be a very rainy, very water-based system that will bring a lot of flooding to a lot of areas. And it's not just the rainfall, it's also the storm surge that will add to it, and then there's also the strong winds again, the very strong winds that especially a lot of the coastal areas will be expecting. So just really, please make sure you are prepared for this system. Now, the last bit of this video, I want to go to the Wikipedia page for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, and as of right now, we've had a total of 9 named storms, 2 hurricanes, 10 total depressions, 30 fatalities, and somewhere a little over above $1.77 billion in damage. So this season in general is off to a very quick, fast, record-paced start. We're already at the I name, and we're into August. So expect that for the peak of the season, for the names during the peak of the season, expect maybe really the O and P names to even be associated with much, much stronger systems than originally what they would typically be. So that's something that will be very interesting to see potentially play out. So we'll see how Isaias plays out and how potentially devastating it will be. It looks to be definitely pretty devastating, especially for the Carolinas and even up through New England, honestly. So again, please make sure you are prepared now or as soon as you can, especially by tonight. Really by tonight is when everyone from the Carolinas through New England should be fully prepared for this system. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.